Good morning, beautiful people. Another beautiful day in paradise. If you're watching this, that means you have something to be happy and grateful for because the good Lord woke you up this morning. First two blessings right here. If you've been following along, then you know where we're at. And if this is your first time to watch, we are doing Bible in a Year with Lovie. We're reading the Life Application Study Bible, 3rd edition, the New Living Translation. We are starting today with Genesis 33. We're going to read 33 through 35, and then we're going to flip over to Matthew chapter 10. With that said, let's dive right in. Genesis chapter 33. Then Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and his 2 servant wives. He put the servant wives and their children at the front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then Jacob went on ahead. As he approached his brother, he bowed to the ground 7 times before him. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck and kissed him. And they both wept. Then Esau looked at the women and children and asked, "Who are these people with you?" "These are the children God has graciously given to me, your servant," Jacob replied. Then the servant wives came forward with their children and bowed before him. Next came Leah and her children, and they bowed before him. Finally, Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed before him. "And what were all the flocks and herds I met as I came?" Esau asked. Jacob replied, "They are a gift from my Lord to ensure your friendship." "My brother, I have plenty," Esau answered. "Keep what you have for yourself." But Jacob insisted, "No, if I have found favor with you, please accept this gift from me. And what a relief to see your friendly smile. It is like seeing the face of God. Please take this gift I have brought you, for God has been very gracious to me. I have more than enough." And because Jacob insisted, Esau finally accepted the gift. "Well," Esau said, "let's get going. I will lead the way." But Jacob replied, "You can see, my lord, that some of the children are very young, and the flocks and herds have their young too. If they are driven too hard, even for one day, all the animals could die. Please, my lord, go ahead of your servant. We will follow slowly at a pace that is comfortable for the livestock and the children. I will meet you at Seir." "All right," Esau said, "but at least let me assign some of my men to guide and protect you." Jacob responded, "That's not necessary. It's enough that you've received me warmly, my lord." So Esau turned around and started back to Seir that same day. Jacob, on the other hand, traveled on to Succoth. There he built himself a house and made shelters for his livestock. That is why the place was named Succoth, which means shelters. Later, having traveled all the way from Padan Aram, Jacob arrived safely at the town of Shechem in the land of Canaan. There he set up camp outside the town. Jacob bought the plot of land where he camped from the family of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver. And there he built an altar and named it El Elohe Israel. Y'all see how Jacob was scared to return home because he had stole his brother's blessing, right? And he's thinking, man, my brother's going to kill me. He was so mad at me whenever I left. And Esau's like, "No, man, you're my brother. Like, I love you. You know, like, they're twins. Even though they don't look anything alike, they're still twins. Like, I love you. Of course, I'm going to accept you back." Sometimes we distance ourselves. Like, if we have an argument or something or a disagreement with somebody, we tend to distance ourselves from them rather than, because we think in our minds that when we see them again, there's going to be a fight, when really you may only need just a little bit of time to cool off before you can, forgiveness is not that difficult. Always forgive. It doesn't mean you forget what happened. You just move on from it. You know, the Bible says later on that you're supposed to forgive 7 times, 77 times. In other words, keep forgiving and keep forgiving and keep forgiving and keep forgiving. You know, you learn from the mistakes, you learn from the things that you go through, but you still forgive. We were made with hearts to love. You know, we're supposed to love like Jesus. So I feel like this place in the Bible where Esau so graciously forgave Jacob and like loved on him when he came back was even before, I mean, I know Jesus wasn't born yet, but that just goes to show how God is love. And I think he was acting the way God would want him to act, from a place of pure love. You know, he loved his brother. He missed his brother. Anyways, now we're on to chapter 34. One day, Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah, went to visit some of the young women who lived in the area. Oh, it's about to get real gangster, y'all. It is. But when the local prince, Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, saw Dinah, he seized her and raped her. But then he fell in love with her, and he tried to win her affections with tender words. He said to his father Hamor, "Get me this young girl. I want to marry her." Soon Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter, Dinah. But since his sons were out in the fields herding his livestock, he said nothing until they returned. Hamor, Shechem's father, came to discuss the matter with Jacob. Meanwhile, Jacob's sons had come in from the field as soon as they heard what had happened. They were shocked and furious that their sister had been raped. Shechem had done a disgraceful thing against Jacob's family, something that should never be done. Should never be done. Yeah. Hamor tried to speak with Jacob and his sons. "My son Shechem is truly in love with your daughter," he said. "Please let him marry her. In fact, let's arrange other marriages too. You give us your daughters for our sons, and we'll give you our daughters for your sons. And you may live among us. The land is open to you. Settle here and trade with us, and feel free to buy property in the area." Then Shechem himself spoke to Dinah's father and brothers. "Please be kind to me and let me marry her," he begged. "I will give you whatever you ask. No matter what dowry or gift you demand, I will gladly pay it. Just give me the girl as my wife." But since Shechem had defiled their sister Dinah, Jacob's sons responded deceitfully to Shechem and his father Hamor. They said to them, "We couldn't possibly allow this because you're not circumcised. It would be a disgrace for our sister to marry a man like you. But here's the solution. If every man among you will be circumcised like we are, then we will give you our daughters, and we'll take your daughters for ourselves. We will live among you and become one people. But if you don't agree to be circumcised, we will take her and be on our way." Hamor and his son Shechem agreed to their proposal. Shechem wasted no time in acting on this request, for he wanted Jacob's daughter desperately. Shechem was a highly respected member of his family, and he went with his father Hamor to present this proposal to the leaders at the town gate. "These men are our friends," they said. "Let's invite them to live here among us and trade freely. Look, the land is large enough to hold them. We can take their daughters as wives and let them marry ours. But they'll consider staying here and becoming one people with us only if all our men are circumcised, just as they are. But if we do this, all their livestock and possessions will eventually be ours. Come, let's agree to their terms and let them settle here among us." So all the men in the town council agreed with Hamor and Shechem, and every male in the town was circumcised. But 3 days later, when their wounds were still sore, 2 of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, who were Dinah's full brothers, took their swords and entered the town without opposition. Then they slaughtered every male there, including Hamor and his son Shechem. They killed them with their swords, then took Dinah from Shechem's house and returned to their camp. I told you I was going to get gangster. Like, they don't play. They did not play. Like, that's their sister. You defiled our sister. You disrespected not only our sister, but our whole family when you did that. Like, we ain't playing with y'all. Meanwhile, the rest of Jacob's servants, finding the men slaughtered, they plundered the town because their sister had been defiled there. I said that wrong. Let me start that over. Meanwhile, the rest of Jacob's sons arrived. Finding the men slaughtered, they plundered the town because their sister had been defiled there. They seized all the flocks and herds and donkeys, everything they could lay their hands on, both inside the town and outside in the fields. They looted all their wealth and plundered their houses. They also took all their little children and wives and led them away as captives. Afterward, Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have ruined me. You've made me stink among all the people of this land, among all the Canaanites and Perizzites. We are so few that they will join forces and crush us. I will be ruined and my entire household will be wiped out." "But why should we let them treat our sister like a prostitute?" they retorted angrily. Chapter 35. Then God said to Jacob, "Get ready and move to Bethel and settle there. Build an altar there to the God who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau." So Jacob told everyone in his household, "Get rid of all your pagan idols, purify yourselves, and put on clean clothing. We are now going to Bethel, where I will build an altar to the God who answered my prayers when I was in distress. He has been with me wherever I have gone." So they gave Jacob all their pagan idols and earrings, and he buried them under the great tree near Shechem. As they set out, a terror from God spread over the people in all the towns of that area, so no one attacked Jacob's family. Eventually, Jacob and his household arrived at Luz, also called Bethel, in Canaan. Jacob built an altar there and named the place El Bethel, which means God of Bethel, because God had appeared to him there when he was fleeing from his brother Esau. Soon after this, Rebekah's old nurse, Deborah, died. She was buried beneath the oak tree in the valley below Bethel. Ever since, the tree has been called Elon Bakuth, which means oak of weeping. Now that Jacob had returned from Padan Aram, God appeared to him again at Bethel. God blessed him, saying, Your name is Jacob, but you will not be called Jacob any longer. From now on, your name will be Israel." So God renamed him Israel. Then God said, "I am El Shaddai, God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. You will become a great nation, even many nations. Kings will be among your descendants, and I will give you the land I once gave to Abraham and Isaac. Yes, I will give it to you and your descendants after you." Then God went up from the place where he had spoken to Jacob. Jacob set up a stone pillar to mark the place where God had spoken to him. Then he poured wine over it as an offering to God and anointed the pillar with olive oil. And Jacob named the place Bethel, which means house of God, because God had spoken to him there. Hold on, I gotta highlight something real quick. I like it when I run across like the different names that God is called in the Bible. I mean, my Bible's marked all the way through, all over the place, but I like that. Anyways, sorry for that disruption. Verse 16. Leaving Bethel, excuse me, Jacob and his clan moved on toward Ephrath. But Rachel went into labor while they were still some distance away. Her labor pains were intense. After a very hard delivery, the midwife finally exclaimed, "Don't be afraid, you have another son." Rachel was about to die, but with her last breath, she named the boy Ben-Oni, which means son of my sorrow. The baby's father, however, called him Benjamin, which means son of my right hand. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Jacob set up a stone monument over Rachel's grave, and it can be seen there to this day. Then Jacob traveled on and camped beyond Migdal Eder. While he was living there, Reuben had intercourse with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Jacob soon heard about it. Ooh. He slept with his daddy's woman. Well, one of his daddy's women. These are the names of the 12 sons of Jacob. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's oldest son, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's servant, were Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's servant, were Gad and Asher. These are the names of the sons who were born to Jacob at Padan Aram. So Jacob returned to his father Isaac in Mamre, which is near Kiriath Arba, now called Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had both lived as foreigners. Isaac lived for 180 years. Then he breathed his last and died at a ripe old age, joining his ancestors in death, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Okay. I told y'all, man, the Bible is like, man, Scarface ain't got nothing on the Bible. The Bible is gangster for real. You don't mess with our sister. They did not do no playing in them days. But there was some other stuff, it's like, man, woo, the Bible, it'll take you on a roller coaster ride, man. So now we're flipping over to Matthew chapter 10. Y'all, I really can't wait till I get my new glasses. I go on the 15th to the eye doctor because these are backup glasses, because my real glasses, they're like trifocals, and I accidentally snapped them in half, and they can't even be taped back together. So I can kind of see, but not all that great. So sometimes if I stumble across words, it ain't because I can't read. It's because I can't see. I'm just saying. So y'all just keep me lifted up in prayer, because good Lord knows I need it. I love the Gospel of Matthew. I just love it. All right, Matthew chapter 10. We're going to read all the way down through verse 20, and then we're going to stop. Jesus called his 12 disciples together and gave them authority to cast out evil spirits and to heal every kind of disease and illness. Here are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, also called Peter, then Andrew, Peter's brother, James, son of Zebedee, John, James's brother, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew, the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who later betrayed him. Jesus sent out the 12 apostles with these instructions. Don't go to the Gentiles or the Samaritans, but only to the people of Israel, God's lost sheep. Go and announce to them that the kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cure those with leprosy, and cast out demons. Give as freely as you have received. Don't take any money in your money belts. No gold, no silver, or even copper coins. Don't carry a traveler's bag with a change of clothes and sandals, or even a walking stick. Don't hesitate to accept hospitality, because those who work deserve to be fed. Whenever you enter a city or village, search for a worthy person and stay in his home until you leave town. When you enter the home, give it your blessing. If it turns out to be a worthy home, let your blessing stand. If it is not, take back the blessing. And if any household or town refuses to welcome you or listen to your message, shake its dust from your feet as you leave. Yeah, I tell you the truth. The wicked cities of Sodom and Gomorrah will be better off than such a town on the judgment day. Shake the dust off your feet. If they don't want to receive this word, if they ain't trying to hear the gospel, if they don't want what you're coming to bring, man, Deuces. Shake the dust off your feet. Move on. Because when judgment day comes, they're going to pay for that. You know? Like, that's not on you. Because you went. You tried. But they ain't trying to hear it. They don't want to receive it. I mean, what else can you do? Kick the dust off your feet. Anyways, I really like that part. This is all red letters too, so this is like all Jesus talking. I just love when Jesus talks. Verse 16. Look, I'm sending you out as sheep among wolves. So be as shrewd as snakes and harmless as doves. Sheep among wolves. Boy, it ain't a lie either. But beware, for you will be handed over to the courts and will be flogged with whips in the synagogues. You will stand trial before governors and kings because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to tell the rulers and other unbelievers about me. When you are arrested, don't worry about how to respond or what to say. God will give you the right words at the right time. For it is not you who will be speaking. It will be the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Yes. I hate to cut Matthew short. I would love to just finish reading that, but I'm on a year plan and I don't want to mess it up. So, but don't y'all think I don't be in my Bible whenever I'm not on here, because I get deep in prayer, I'll get deep in worship, and I get in my word before I ever even say anything to y'all. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. We'll pick up tomorrow with Genesis chapter 36. And I just want to remind y'all that if it ain't a God thing, it ain't a good thing. So go out and have a blessed day. And remember, love like Jesus.